There's no place like the Qube. Family, it's your favorite queer radio personality, Anna DeShawn, with our queer news for today. Now, I want to make you a promise. We will continue to bring you the latest in queer news, culture, and politics every Monday by 7 a.m. Chicago time. So if you are digging our intersectional take on the weekly, consider joining the QCrew. The QCrew is our monthly membership program we started to help grow the podcast. You get weekly emails from me, exclusive interviews with LGBTQ influencers from across the country, and beginning this year, special behind-the-scenes footage too. With your support, we can bring you more stories celebrating our lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and comrade communities. Click the link in the show notes to join the QCrew today. Don't have $5 to join the QCrew? It's okay. There's things you can do for free. You can rate and review us inside your favorite podcasting app and tell a friend. Or two. Family. Black people in the South make up 38% of the population, but 52% of all new HIV infections. So why aren't we talking about it? I'm Anna DeShawn, your favorite queer radio personality. My co-host Dwayne Kramer and I will explore the shame, the stigma, and the solutions. This is Black HIV in the South. How did we get here? Tune in on the Qube or wherever you get your podcasts. Now for the news. Celebration is in order. After 40 years of advocacy, Michigan has signed LGBTQ protections into law. On the opposite end of the spectrum, Kentucky passes the worst anti-trans bill in the nation, and it's headed to the governor's desk for signature. Oklahoma is censoring the nation's first and only non-binary state lawmaker, Representative Mauree Turner. PFLAG is celebrating its 50th anniversary, and Lil Nas X catches the wrath from a social media post. Let's go.
Are you lost in your podcast journey? If so, you found the right podcast. My name is DJ Tracy Treese, and I'm a podcast producer. In partnership with the Qube, I'm bringing you the Lost and Found for podcasters. I've worked behind the scenes on some of your favorite podcasts, and I'll be bringing you some great conversations with podcast industry experts to help you find your way through your podcast journey. There's so much information out there, and the industry is rapidly changing. No need to feel lost. You found the right podcast. Subscribe to the Lost and Found for podcasters now. Everywhere that you listen to podcasts, if you prefer your podcast in video, click the link in the description to subscribe to this podcast on YouTube.
You are now tuned in to higher frequencies. We do this frequently. Turn your radio station to E3 for that decency. Listen to great music and the latest movement. Safe listening for anyone that's tuned in. Who you waking up to? Anna DeShawn, QCrew and friends. It's that real talk. Online radio with the spins. You caught up in traffic, frustrated. Just check in with E3 to shift your vibrations and get elevated. That's queer radio done right. Choose to be yourself. That's the only way to live life, and that's how it's done here. Just know y'all tuned in to the greatest. Ain't no competition. We ain't worried about the other stations. Check.
Family, let's start with politics today. And how about some good news first? On Thursday, Michigan became the 22nd state in the U.S. to ban discrimination against the LGBTQ plus community through legislation. Now, this means that we got 28 more states to go, but I digress. After 40 years of advocacy, Governor Gretchen Whitmer was able to sign the bill to expand the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act to include protections based on sexual orientation and gender identity or expression. This new law will protect individuals from discrimination in employment, housing, and public accommodations. Out gay Senator Jeremy Moss said, "For 40 long years, amending Elliott Larson has been the battle cry of our community." He went on to say, "The baton has been passed from generation to generation." And then he named several activists who had worked and devoted their lives to this movement, but didn't live to see this moment. Jim Toy, Jeff Montgomery, Henry Messer, and the one and only Ruth Ellis. If you follow me on TikTok, you know how much I love me some Ruth Ellis. In case you've never seen my videos, I've linked one in the show notes. She was a force, and I think the point he's making is incredibly significant. As activists and advocates, you may start something you don't get to see happen in your lifetime. Like, that's just the reality. The key is to nurture a legacy that will live on and give people the tools to keep fighting. They did that in Michigan. How powerful is that? Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel mentioned that while the Michigan Supreme Court ruled last year that the Elliott-Larsen Act covered anti-LGBTQ+ discrimination, it was important and crucial to write that into law. And family, we know, right, what she's saying. We've seen it happen with Roe v. Wade. No matter what the Supreme Court rules, it is critical that that gets signed into law. This legislation is a victory, okay? A victory. This is a win, family, for the LGBTQ+ community in Michigan, but for all of us around the country. It is a beautiful reminder that we can win. Now, it might take 40 years, but we can win. That love wins, that hate will not be tolerated. Hate is not free speech. The president, and actually the new president of HRC, Kelly Robinson, said that this law being signed is, quote, a beacon of hope for those fighting for their rights. And it really is, because at this point in 2023, March 20th, there have been over 400 plus anti-LGBTQ bills introduced in legislatures across the country. 400 plus. That is an insane amount of hate. And unfortunately, I'll be talking about one that just passed in a second, so this is most definitely a beacon of hope that we all need. Way to go, Michigan. Now let's move to Kentucky. Kentucky has passed a highly controversial bill that has been dubbed as, quote, the worst anti-trans bill in the nation. Now, we all know don't say gay, right, in Florida, so we shouldn't take that bill in lightly. It is Senate Bill 150. This bill bans gender-affirming healthcare for trans youth and requires doctors to detransition young trans people, preventing schools from discussing gender identity or sexual orientation with students of any age, okay? In addition, this bill requires school districts to form policies that prevents trans children from using bathrooms and locker rooms consistent with their gender identity. This bill goes on and gets even worse. How is that even possible? Let me tell you, it also stipulates that doctors must create a timeline to taper off treatment for children currently receiving hormone therapy or puberty blockers. Y'all, why can't Republicans just stay out of other people's business? I just don't understand. They are literally taking rights away from parents while simultaneously campaigning on a family-first platform. It is wild to me. The ACLU of Kentucky has vowed to take legal action if the bill becomes law, while the Trevor Project and HRC have condemned the bill as appalling and dangerous. But can you imagine, truly imagine, having a trans child in Kentucky right now? Your first thought has to be, I have to leave this state. But how many people can afford that? What are they supposed to do? Often we hear news like this, but we don't take the time to really think about how it will impact someone's life. To move is a privilege. To be who you are is your God-given right. So what happens next? Well, the bill is now moving over to Governor Andy Beshear's desk to be signed into law or vetoed within the next 10 days. It is expected that the governor will veto it, which is great, but just like other states, it is likely to be overridden and overturned when the Republican majority legislature returns into session for the final 2 days, March 29th and March 30th. We will continue, of course, to follow this story, family. Okay, all right, just one more political story and then we'll move on to entertainment and culture, okay? Now, this one is just too important not to discuss. And I want to be very clear that we here at Queer News stand with Representative Mauree Turner out of Oklahoma. I actually called the State House myself and to let them know that we stand with them and to put that on the record. Representative Turner is the nation's first non-binary state lawmaker ever, and this happened in Oklahoma. I'm gonna let that sink in for a minute. And now, let me tell you what's happening. Oklahoma, like other Republican-led states, is introducing anti-LGBTQ legislation at a ridiculous pace. LGBTQ activists are attending these sessions and making their voices heard. Well, after one of the bills passed, and this particular bill bans gender-affirming healthcare for minors and eliminates it from insurance coverage for people of any age, and activists threw water on a political official who voted in favor. The story goes that one of the people ran to Representative Turner's office for safety. Turner said, quote, "People do not feel represented or protected by the people in this body. They come to find refuge in my office. They come to decompress from some of the most stressful times, and I understand them because I do too." In this case, a constituent came to process their spouse's arrest, Turner told the 19th News. Well, Republicans didn't like that. Representative Turner didn't turn that person away. Representative Turner did talk to the constituent, and everyone was clear that the person was turning themselves in. Representative Turner didn't impede on any investigation, but you want to know what's happening now? Those Republican lawmakers have stripped them of all their committee appointments, basically censoring them, and said they can reinstate them if Representative Turner makes a public apology to the Republicans and the Oklahoma State Highway Patrol. Representative Turner said that's something they cannot do. They went on to say, the people of House District 88 will never not have a voice at 23rd and Lincoln. While I might not be able to vote in committees, the same bills that pass through committees go to the House floor. As you have seen time and time again with questioning and debate, I will be there on the House floor to do all those things. Now, family, let me tell y'all the real hypocritical part of all of this, and we know how much Republicans love some hypocrisy, okay? Is that 2 Republicans currently serving in the House are facing felony charges, felonies, and are still working, still have committee appointments. They have never faced criticism from their Republican colleagues, and they have never been stripped of anything. One is now serving as the House Majority Whip, which is a big, important position, and the other is serving as Vice Chair of the House Appropriations and Budget Committee. Good freaking grief. Now, if you want to do what I did and call in support, here is the number, 405-521-2711. That's 405-521-2711. When you call, just say, I stand with Representative Mauree Turner. It'll take 30 seconds, I promise, but it'll mean a whole lot. Whew. That was a lot. We're just gonna remember Michigan, okay? And we're gonna take a couple of deep collective breaths before moving on. Whew. All right, let's dig into some culture. Did you know that PFLAG is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year? In the fight for LGBTQ rights, parents and family members have been critical comrades. I can speak from personal experience. Having my family's support of who I am and who I love is a life-saving action. Well, in 1972, Gene and Morty Manford founded PFLAG. Now, PFLAG stands for Parents, Families, and Friends of Lesbian and Gays. an organization that provides support, education, and advocacy to LGBTQ people and their loved ones. Their activism began in a time when being gay was still considered a mental disorder, okay? And sodomy laws were used to discriminate against gay parents. I wasn't here for that time, but that's wild, right? Well, Jean was inspired to march in the New York City Pride Parade in 1972 after her son Mauree was beaten and arrested for protesting a homophobic group. Mauree asked his mother to march with him, and Jean agreed on the condition that she could carry a sign. Y'all know what her sign said? It said, "Parents of gays unite in support of our children." Reflecting on her activism, Jean said, "I've always felt that Mauree was a very special person, and I wasn't going to let anybody walk over him." And there is nothing like a mom's unconditional love. Today, PFLAG has over 400 chapters across the United States and more than 200,000 members. Having supportive parents and allies can make a significant difference in the lives of LGBTQ young people. According to a survey by the Trevor Project, LGBTQ youth who had at least one accepting adult in their lives were 40% less likely to attempt suicide in the preceding year. PFLAG and other organizations like it offer a lifeline of support and love to those who may not have it elsewhere. So PFLAG, congratulations on 50 years. Here's to 50 more. In a little entertainment news, Lil Nas X caught a lot of fire this past week for posting a pic of a woman and titling the caption, "The surgery was a success." Now, this woman was beautiful. She definitely looked like she could be Lil Nas X's sister. We all know Lil Nas X is known for his sensational marketing tactics, but this one caught immediate fire. It also caught some immediate support that was then rescinded, even from folks like Raquel Willis. Now, here's the thing. Y'all heard the news today. I just reported on a couple of the stories that are happening legislatively against the trans community, specifically. So, for a Black gay man to joke about what they would look like after gender-affirming surgery is just tone-deaf and unnecessary right now. Gender-affirming surgery is about your outward appearance aligning with how you felt on the inside your entire life. It quite literally saves lives. So making half-baked social media posts for clicks just causes more harm. Then he apologized, and I didn't see anything wrong with the apology, personally. But when he was called out about it, he doubled down on a Black trans woman. Y'all already know what Twitter looked like, okay? Most days, I just want everyone to back away from their keyboards. Just back away. And this whole moment was definitely one of those times. If you want to check out the post, visit the website e3radio.fm for all the tea, child. All the tea. Well, it's that time, family, to close out the podcast. And I want to share a special moment with y'all. Yesterday, I had the tremendous honor of giving the keynote at the Affinity Community Services Burning Bowl event. Affinity has been serving the Black, LGBTQ, and particularly the Black lesbian community in Chicago for 27 years. It is the longest-standing organization of its kind in the country. Now, I'm going to keep saying that until somebody corrects me, but I'm about 150% certain that is the case. I came to Affinity as a scared and unsure 22-year-old looking for community. And 17 years later, I can't be more proud to be part of its legacy. I've led peer groups, I've sat on the board, I've served as board president alongside the first two executive directors. Affinity is part of the reason I am the person I am today. I owe so much to the Chicago Black lesbian community. So giving that keynote was one of the biggest honors of my life. Who'd have thought an organization started by a coalition of Black lesbians would have survived for 27 years? So many did not. So many do not. survive. So can we talk about faith for a minute? The one and only tattoo I have says, trust your faith. It is a constant reminder to lean into that thing, a reminder that God has worked some miracles in my life and can do it again. There's this quote that says, faith is seeing light with your heart when all your eyes see is darkness. Our realities are not sunshine and sunflowers every moment of the day, but we can absolutely choose to see the light and flowers in our lives at various moments throughout the day. You feel me? There are 24 hours in a day, 24. You can choose to see the good in at least one moment of that 24 hours. Choose to see the light. Affinity has done that for 27 years and continues to do that every single day. They have been a light in my life, and I am truly grateful because they didn't have to do it 27 years ago, but they did. If you'd like to learn more about Affinity or make a donation, I've included a link in the show notes. Till next week, family. Peace. If you enjoyed what you hear, rate and review us inside your favorite podcasting app. This podcast is a production of E3 Radio, your #1 queer radio station playing queer music and reporting on queer news in high rotation.